Hi there, welcome to Impact Marketer. My name is Stephen Laddick, and I'm the Director of Growth at Klout Consulting. Today, we're going to talk about a business called Style Reform. Style Reform is a small but mighty woman-owned athleisure brand. They've been around for a few years, and we brought them on board in Klout about 90 days ago at the time of this recording. The interesting business case with Style Reform is that they are a wholesaler pivoting to the direct-to-consumer play in their business, and that's where our paid ad strategy came in. In this episode, Rony, Kevin, and I talk about how we got started with Style Reform and some unique aspects of their onboarding because of this pivot to the direct-to-consumer market. We also talk about how a post by J-Lo, yes, the J-Lo, how it happened and its effects on the business and our marketing strategies. We also talk about the difference between sales and marketing and why it's really important to make that distinction and why marketing is important for your business. We also talk about, we dive into the details about bidding strategies. And in particular, we talk about lowest cost bidding strategies versus cost cap bidding strategies. We spend some time discussing moving from a wholesale to a direct-to-consumer brand and why we're seeing this trend in the market and why it's working really well. And then obviously, we end with the lessons that Klout has learned from this client. But before we get started, a quick word from our sponsor.
Klout Consulting is the gold standard for e-commerce paid advertising. We help our clients scale and generate massive return through paid advertising platforms like Facebook and Instagram. For more information, visit kloutconsulting.com.
Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to Impact Marketer. How are you today?
Not bad, not bad.
We are doing wonderful.
We are doing well. Fantastic. Today we're here to talk about a company called Style Reform. Rony, why don't you tell us about who Style Reform is? This is a client that we brought on a couple months ago, and frankly, they're killing it. I don't know. It's fantastic.
They are indeed killing it. So Style Reform is a small but mighty, awesome e-commerce brand that sells luxury women's athleisure. I guess it would kind of be the niche. And it's founded by a woman named Christy Tello.
Hello.
I think I pronounced that. Yep, Tello. And yeah, she's been a client for 2 to 3 months now, I think. And since I think we onboarded her late last year, maybe November, December. And since the new year, we've been absolutely crushing it with her. And it's been an awesome case study and relationship for us to realize how much power paid social and Google Ads has for brands that are focusing on wholesale and B2B relationships. Because if we ads are really good at scaling products and offers that are proven. And if you're doing a good amount of volume, which Christy was before coming on board, that's proving your offer and product essentially. So that's a little bit of background on her.
Fantastic. Kevin, anything you want to add to that? I know I have one thing I just got to ask about right off the top, but anything you want to add?
Rony actually gave a good summary of it. So Style Reform was actually a brand that taught me a big lesson as well. And one of that lesson was to never judge an account by where it's at currently, because with the power of marketing, it took off, and I did not expect that, but I'm so glad it did. That's
awesome. That's great to hear. I got to toss off the top. Kevin, were you responsible for the J-Lo photo, or was that all her? Did that just come out of the blue, or what?
Okay, so for who is listening in, there was an article that Jennifer Lopez was wearing some Style Reform leggings, right? And how that came to be was that her trainer actually wear Style Reform's yoga pants. So J-Lo saw that and was like, wow, those look cool. But also one thing that kind of sets them apart from all yoga pants basically is you're able to customize the leggings to have any mammogram. Is that what it's called, mammogram? Like you're able to put the name of anything.
Like personalization.
Yeah, basically. So J-Lo was spotting one with the name of her kids on those pants, which is pretty cool. I talked to Christy about it. So J-Lo liked them so much that she came back and bought 5 more. And I know that she's rich and all, but these pants are pretty expensive. They're like $150, $250 each. So J-Lo buying 5 of them. Wow.
That is, I mean, as they say, you can't buy that kind of advertising, right? Amazing. Super influencer buying your stuff because genuine like, right? Like, hey, my trainers wearing out genuinely like. So we'll get there in a second. You said this was an opportunity for you, a big growth opportunity, Kevin. Where was the business when I'm lucky enough to be, know the conversation. I mean, Christy just grilled me when, we were in the sales process about what Klout does, how we do it, how could we help them, and like that. I assume that she kind of gave you the massive once over as well when we brought her on board. Where was she at when she came on board?
Oh man, not sure if you're able to see my smile, but I can totally relate to that because Christy grilled me. I kind of felt like I had to just try to show her what Facebook is. I was showing her every step of the way, step of every single process, just trying to make her really understand what marketing is. And I felt like that's really important because although she had a good wholesale brand, she was missing one important piece, which is marketing. And I was so glad that I was actually able to help her understand how impactful marketing is, and to go into more details about how we can help her, and to just for her to overall understand how her business can improve with Facebook marketing.
So go for all the newbies out there who just created their first Shopify site, and they think they have a cool product. What's breakdown? What is sales? What is marketing? Why is marketing important?
Sales is any type of just conversion or purchase that you get from your website, but anybody who's just starting off and making their own Shopify account, what you have to realize is that you're not gonna get there with just organic alone. You can, don't get me wrong, you can, but Facebook and any sort of media or ad marketing will help you get there a lot faster. And if you have the right product, and if you truly understand it and think you have the right product to market to, then that's when you can basically explode with your marketing.
Anything you'd add to that, Ronnie, about where marketing is and where it needs to be in sort of your consideration as an owner of an e-commerce brand?
Can you rephrase the question one more time, Stephen?
I think, as somebody who's on the growth side of our business, I am introduced to many, many people who have just started their business, and they get their first few sales and they're like, look, I just don't, how do I drive more sales? How do I drive more sales? And that they're really focused on that conversion moment rather than how do I actually create a brand out of this? Or how do I actually make myself unique? And so I just wondering if you had any, other words of wisdom around why is marketing important?
Sure. So I think, you can't just throw something up like we were kind of getting at here. And Chrissy's business was, again, validated through her B2B relationships and wholesale stuff. But if you're just starting out, I think you need to figure out the right angle, hook, offer, basically how you sell something, right? There are thousands of different yoga brands out there, and we just happen to sell this one differently, right? The personalization feel, that's part of creating a good offer. And so I think once you've dialed in your offer, and there are essentially a lot of ways to do this, you can test it through ads, which would be testing different ad sets or creatives with different hooks to see which converts against another. And then, why are ads so important? It gives you a predictable way to scale profitably. And the market potential is so huge in your niche. It's probably bigger than what you think it is. And this point of exhaustion is extremely high for a lot of different niches. And so, you're essentially leaving that to your competitors that are marketing. And so you're doing a disservice to your future customers, because your product is amazing and you should be able to reach more of them. And if they're on these platforms and you want to be able to spend your dollars there, and you want to be able to track and make, inventory forecasting predictions, like for instance, most brands in Q4, their P&Ls are red because they've invested a ton of money into inventory. And then in Q1, that's when they're greening it because they've sold out for all of that. And as you do this year over year, not only on the inventory side, but with the ads, you can start to make better predictions to scale.
Awesome. So Kevin, this is a B2B play, right? When Christy came on, she was doing a lot of wholesale, and like so many people over the last year with coronavirus, they've been looking, how do I get direct to consumer? How do I get, the clicks that bring in individual sales and start moving even more product that way? How did we take her on that journey?
How? So first, we always start off with our essential campaigns. Basically, we do that for all of our clients that come in. Like we know what works in terms of prospecting campaigns, the type of audience that we're trying to target, and especially where we're marketing. Now, how do we get her there? It's really just it's gonna sound kind of corny, but it's just through the power of marketing, right? It's us being consistent, and I think consistency is the name of the game with Facebook marketing, because at first she was making slow sales, right? But her first week or so, she probably hit a 1x. Then as we kept on making more changes, optimizing certain audience targetings, coming up with more ads, then that's when she started to grow. We implemented a new plan in our campaigns. We switched from lowest cost to cost cap campaigns. Not many people know about that. They really used the lowest cost strategy. But once we switched to cost cap, then that's when things just started to took off for her. And
Hey, Kevin, how many conversions did we have before we changed the bidding strategy? And is that important?
say that one more time.
Sure. How many conversions did we have? How many purchases did we have before switching to cost cap? Was that part of the strategy, or was it just a spend amount that we wanted to spend before that?
So the first month, right, we had about 25 conversions. But the thing about that is that once you have an audience that's performing already well on lowest cost, then that's when you want to change things around and implement the same audience into a cost cap campaign. That's when you can truly scale from there. And that's what I did. Like I found a lookalike targeting audience that had like a cost per purchase of around like $52, but it was only spending around like $25 a day, and you can't really scale from there. But once I made that into a cost cap campaign, and I set the daily spend to $250, I saw that we were getting purchases of $55 and capping out at $250 per day. Then I started to increase from there, the daily spend.
Go back and break that down. I think that's gonna gloss over for a lot of people who just don't have any idea about bidding strategies and whatnot. Again, like a sixth grader, what does that mean? The difference between lowest cost and then cost cap, and why would you make the switch, and then how do you scale with cost cap?
Right. So to slow things down, let's just break apart what lowest cost and cost cap is, right? If you were making your campaign and you had lowest cost on, you're basically telling Facebook to find as many purchases as many purchases as you can with the amount of daily spend I have, without telling Facebook how much you're willing to pay for those purchases. So it could range from anywhere from $1 purchase all the way to $25 a day with your lowest cost. But with cost cap, you're telling Facebook to find the most volume of purchases for your set amount of cost per purchase, basically. So with cost cap, you have more control of how Facebook spends your money. If you set your cost cap to $55 per day, and you could basically set your daily ad spend to an unlimited amount of money per day, right? But Facebook won't spend that much unless it's able to fulfill that cost per purchase that you set.
Yeah, and I also want to add to that. When you do lowest costs, it's in, like, you can go to Facebook's website and they tell you in the definition that they will spend all of your money if you set that. And so when you set cost cap, because there's also bid cap, cost cap is allowing Facebook to spend the average amount towards your target cost per acquisition. So if you set it to $40 cost per purchase, it may go over to $55 on one sale, because on the average it's gonna hopefully come down to your target. And then there's bid cap, where if you set it to $40 bid cap, it won't go over that at all, even if it can average down to the lowest. And so the biggest takeaway and benefit from doing this is that you can scale with your bid and not with your budget. Right, again, so you can scale with your bid and not with your budget. And so, for instance, if at $40 I have a 20% margin, and I know that at scale I can go to 10%, I can increase that to $50 or something like that. and it will spend more of the entire budget allocated, and I can increase the daily spend way more than I can with the lowest costs bidding strategy without breaking the campaign, which is like an awesome advantage. And I asked Kevin the minimum conversion events question, because usually with newer accounts, you want to have some conversions underneath the ad account first before you go to this, because again, Facebook is a giant AI thing and you need to feed it some data.
Yeah, then also to add on to this, we're not saying that lowest cost is the wrong player things. You should have lowest cost if you're starting out. That's how you accrue that amount of data. And once you accrue that necessary amount of data, then you can switch to cost cap. To sum it up, like how I like to think of cost cap is very high reward and low risk, because Facebook won't spend up to that much unless there's opportunity.
Fantastic. So Rony, to take us in a different direction for a little bit, one of the exciting pieces about this, as we were talking about earlier, is that Christy went from wholesale to now actually, you know, direct to consumer, and she's watching her brand and her business grow in that direction. Do you have a sense of what's the impact this has really had on her business? For example, you know, is she really moving a lot of her business just into direct to consumer now? Has she had to hire new people? You know, how is it changing her business fundamentally?
Well, Kevin, why don't you give us some context of what they were doing from wholesale in terms of numbers, and you know where they're currently heading to right now in terms of run rate?
Sure. So I'm just looking back in the Shopify. We took over their account in the month of December of last year. Wholesale, actually, she made about $30,000 a month on wholesale. And when we took over, let's say in December or so, she is currently at 51.8K. So we were able to add an additional 21 something K on top of her wholesale orders.
Wow, that's powerful. And
Yeah.
and we didn't see an effect on the wholesale business at all. I mean, it's that stayed consistent.
Honestly, if anything, then with that improved just marketing, then she should see more wholesale orders, because you would think that since people like her brand so much, they would want to order more.
100%. As we, you know, increase the demand outside of the wholesale channels, these are still normal people that are going to be going and buying in stores and whatnot. You know, just like when a lot of direct to consumer cosmetic brands do really well online, they then go into an Ulta or Sephora. They also sell extremely well there because they've established themselves in the market segment.
So what are the greatest challenges for Christy now? You know, she's essentially three months in with us. And, you know, we often talk about, you know, it's a 90-day mindset to get us to a place where we are, you know, we have built a machine for her that is performing. So, you know, what's the challenge to move forward? How do we take her to the next level? What does she need to do as a business owner, et cetera?
That's a great question. So this is pretty interesting, because this is gonna cause more problems with the increase of sales. It will cause complications, because if you're a new owner like this, and you're not really expecting this much sales, then you're gonna be like, holy crap, like how am I supposed to process everything, you know? So how am I supposed to fulfill orders? And I think with Christy, she's really in control of these kind of things, which I like very much. She knows the ins and out of her own like Shopify business, which is great. But now how do we take her to a whole nother level? We only scratch the surface of things, really. This is just the surface. She's doing Facebook, Instagram marketing. She's doing the search side of things with Google, but she's not really doing email marketing, influencer marketing, Pinterest, and more channels like TikTok. So really, the sky's the limit for her. We just need to get our hands on every single marketing channels as much as possible. Then that's when we can truly grow. I don't really think that a company should invest 100% of their ad spend in just one marketing channel. They should spread out as much as possible to get the lowest amount of cost per purchase in each marketing channel, and that's how you truly grow.
Rony, what did Klout learn so far from this client? Is it something that we can apply to other clients? And you know, were there any aha moments?
Absolutely. We have learned that this is a potential market for us and customer that we can truly, truly help. Brands that are starting from a wholesale perspective, needing help getting into direct to consumer using paid ads. Again, we love working with great founders with awesome products, and Christy was a extremely great example of this. Style Reform has extremely high quality, premium athleisure clothing for women, and this was a very easy sell for us. And I think, again, we can repeat this over and over again, using the same, reach into the market, lowest cost, and then transition to a scaling cost cap model.
Kevin, any closing thoughts about what we learned or where this can go?
Well, like I said in the beginning, what we learned is never judge an account of where it's at so far. Yes, of course, she did 30K in sales for wholesales, but we don't really know how that would translate into marketing, right? Because you can do so well in wholesale, but how would you do when you put more ad spend and to target individual customers? And we really didn't know how it would do. But once we got our hands in Facebook marketing, that's when we really knew that her business is not just a wholesale business. It's a direct to consumer business.
Awesome. Kevin, Pham, Rony, hey, thank you once again for this awesome insights into style reform. We'll see you again next time on Impact Marketer.
Thanks for having us, Stephen.
Hey there. If you like what you heard in this episode, please do me the favor of giving us a like, because it really does help. And of course, you can always subscribe to Impact Marketer so you never miss an episode. And finally, more importantly, if you'd like to get the type of results that we talk about on this show, drop us a line at kloutconsulting.com and we'd love to help you. Thanks.